Hey guys, so today's gonna be a little bit different. I'm gonna be doing a reading of the shittiest fan fiction I have ever read. Let me just preface this by saying that I really like fan fiction. I've been reading and writing it since I was like 14. Kind of embarrassing, yeah, but it's just something that I like to do. I do have a DeviantArt account, and well, over the years I've been there, I've seen some really just shitty fan fiction, right? And I came across this woman. I say woman because she's like legit like 25 years old. There's nothing wrong with that if your fan fiction is okay, but it's not. So it's just sad. This chick is Disney fan 01. Some of you might have heard of her. She does have an Encyclopedia Dramatica article, which is fun. She is, she writes Treasure Planet, what the fuck is it called? Kingdom Hearts fan fiction. It's horrible. But we shall see here in chapter 1. Her fanfiction is called Faith of the Heart. It's on like its 4th or 5th revision, I want to say. She's gotten a lot of critics telling her, you know, like, this is horrible, you really need to fix this. She's like, okay, I'll fix this. So this is a revision. So let me begin here. Faith of the Heart, Part 1, Chapter 1 of this epic tale. My name is Marina Seadrift. What you are about to read is the story of my life when everything changed from average to adventurous. Okay, my life hasn't always been like most average girls. I grew up in a palace, living the life of a princess, even though I'm not from royalty. Oh, you special snowflake, you. My mother was the lady-in-waiting for the queen of a small world of Fantasyland, and my father is the High Lord Chancellor to Queen Elisa of the Terran Empire. After my mother died, I was raised in the palace of Fantasyland by King Mickey and Queen Minnie, since my father was working so far away and wanted me to live happily. Okay, so mom is dead, dad lives far away. We have right here the makings of a Mary Sue. We don't even need to include her, like, she lives as a princess. What the fuck? Okay, let's continue. Growing up in a palace was wonderful. Gee. I had the best of friends in the palace. The perfect lessons of life. Became quite book smart. And I even had many years of training with a sword for great defense. Ooh, you are so different and an edgy girl. Later on, I had the years of a real average girl when I was in high school. Why? Why would you be a palace bitch and then go to high school? What the fuck kind of land is this? I don't understand. I had a good number of best friends and quite the number of rivals. That's because I'm perfect in every way possible. But that's something that could be common with anyone. I had a few crushes and boyfriends back then, but things didn't work out right with them. So I remained single after graduating, hoping someday my real prince would come for me. Oh, how touching. Oh, God. Oh, I might cry. Every night I would sit out at my balcony, wondering who my true prince or knight would be and when he would come. I had always dreamed that he would perhaps save my life from something, and that the two of us would sail off through the Ethereum with my palace friends to see all the other worlds out there, meet new people, discover new worlds, and perhaps fight off nightmares if we ever ran into some. Ooh, see, you're switching shit up. What the fuck were they called in Kingdom Hearts? Heartless? Nightmares? Ooh, totally not the same thing at all. But alas, that dream did not come true for me in all my years of waiting. At least, that's what I thought when I was 32 years of age, when one man came and changed my whole life around. Chapter 1, First Sight. It was the morning of the anniversary of Reign of the Great Sorcerer. Everyone in the kingdom was preparing for the big celebration. Decorations were going up around the streets, lights were strung up around the castle, and thousands of fireworks were getting ready for the night spectacular. It was going to be the best one that happens only a few times a year in the kingdom. Oh, so special. This celebration was similar to the ways of Christmas or New Year's Eve, but it was all of the honor of the former ruler of Fantasyland. If not for his wonders and teachings, King Mickey wouldn't be known as the greatest king anyone would ever know. The big preparation was going on inside the palace, where a large party was going to take place. Queen Minnie was helping out with the decorations. Colorful ribbons were being hung in the ballroom. Large bouquets of roses were placed everywhere that the whole room smelled of their lovely scent. A large banquet of food was being placed on a long table for the guests. Everything was going great, and the celebration was probably going to be one of the best yet to come. "Yes, that goes there," Minnie told the caterers. "Be careful now." Even though she was queen, Minnie never minded taking charge of parties. After all, throwing a party for any celebration was a favorite thing to do for her. Throwing a party for any celebration. What? Okay, I like to repeat myself. Whip out your thesaurus, you might be the next Stephanie Meyer. "Wonderfully done, Minnie," said Clarabelle Cow, the head of the household. "Your decorations have always been the best." "Yes, but Marina told me she was going to help me this morning. Have you seen her?" "Why, no, not since breakfast." "Oh, dear. That silly Marina is always daydreaming, even on important days like this." "Don't worry, Minnie," said Daisy Duck, the head lady-in-waiting. "You know how Marina is, always playing around this time in the morning." "I know," Minnie giggled. "No matter how old she gets, she's always as free-spirited as a child." She snuck her way out of the castle gardens. Oh, so there's a pause here, and she doesn't really think that it's necessary to say, "Hey, this bitch Marina is doing something right now." So I'm like, what the fuck's Minnie doing right now? So just so you're not confused, this bitch Marina is doing something right now. So she snuck her way out of the castle gardens through the back door of the rose walls, carefully walked down the steep hill, and entered the thick forest. The sun was warm on her soft face, and her long chocolate brown hair shimmered in the golden light that shined through the leaves. Her lovely blue eyes gazed up at the majestic trees. A smile grew upon her face as she breathed in deeply. Marina Seadrift was once again in her favorite place to be. The lovely scent of the pine and evergreen filled the air. The oak trees towered the forest as though they were the rulers of every tree. Even though they were majestic, many of them seemed to be giggling at Marina, waiting to watch her play. She walked deeper into the woods, listening to the birds chirping, the squirrels chattering, and the leaves dancing in the wind. Straight ahead, Marina spotted a squirrel standing cautiously on a large boulder. As she was preparing to walk by it, she reached up to an oak branch and picked an acorn. "Good morning," she said gently to the squirrel as she placed the acorn in front of him. As she walked away, the squirrel stopped being cautious and took the acorn with a smile. This was a regular thing Marina loved doing with the wild animals. All of the creatures of the forest remained shy around her as they would with anyone, but they seemed a little familiar of her coming around almost every day. Marina walked at least a quarter of a mile out into the woods until she finally came to an opening. Within the opening was an old tool shack that was abandoned many years after the forest's overseer passed away. The old captain of the overseers was collapsed, leaving behind a large pile of wood covered with vines, moss, and some wild flowers. The old tool shack stayed up after Marina discovered it when she was a little girl, and she restored it as much as a child could do. Marina opened the door of the old shack and took out a wooden pole. She held it like a sword and said, "It's time." She came over to the center of the clearing. High above her, a rope was tied off from a tree on one side and all the way to a tree on the other side. Right in the center of the rope, dangling from a bungee cord, was a rubber ball the size of a grapefruit. Marina stood in front of the ball and tapped the pole on the ground. "Today, I choose to fight you, Edward Teach." When she said that, the wooden pole turned into a sword. As it tapped on the ground, the opening in the forest started to change into a large pirate ship out in deep space. And then the ball on the bungee cord changed into one of the most famous pirates of the days of old. With his bushy black beard tied up in ribbons and lit cannon fuses, Captain Edward Teach, or better known in history as Blackbeard. What the fuck? That does not make any sense. That's not a sentence. I don't know if... That's not me. That's not a sentence. I promise you it's not. Goodness gracious, that took forever to read. This ended up being way more TLDR than I anticipated it being. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to split this into a couple different parts, put links to each one of them in the little sidebar. And yeah, this is just part 1, so I'll slap together part 2 here in the next day or so. Thanks for watching. Give her a visit.